Welcome to the Mystical Power of Women, Evolutionary Women, Revolutionary Results. And I'm your host, Sherry Lynn. I invite you to sit back, to relax, and to open yourself up to the mystery and to the magic that wants to unfold in you today. Today's guest is Margo Fraser. She's a nature mystic and a cosmic connector who is able to weave in the high vibration light messages into our being. She unmasks and releases the energetic wounds, triggers, and sabotaging beliefs, conscious or unconscious to us, that have us running around ragged, feeling off track, depleted, and even confused about our purpose. She channels the celestial healing and revitalizing nature energies and our essence in collaboration with the divine beings. Margo is a certified intuitive strategist, a master teacher with the Academy for the Soul, and she's also a certified human design professional who helps clients in understanding and embodying the magic of their unique nature, becoming their own decision-making authorities. Welcome, Margo.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Sherry. Excited to be here.
Well, I'm so excited to have you here with me too. So I'm really looking forward to delving deeper into our conversation too, because something about the nature mystic with you, just like, well, even the little bit that I've known about you and then our conversation and watching you light up as you describe what happens to you is this magical in itself. So can you share a little bit about what the nature mystic means to you?
Yeah. So if you just take the essence of the mystic, which is that connection to the allness, this is what it's really delving into, that nature provides us an access point for that. So for me, when I'm out in nature and just being completely present to what's going on around me through all of my senses, right? We are embodied, our soul's embodied into this body that has all these different ways of perceiving. And all of that can come into the heart and then connect into that place of allness and oneness. We can see before our eyes the interconnection of allness, how the trees are supporting different types of other plants in some cases, the bird life, the squirrels, whatever else you see around you. We know their roots are going into the ground. We know now about the wood wide web, the connection through the fungal networks of the trees and different plant beings and how they support each other, how the evergreens will take up some of the energy of the deciduous trees that are going dormant in the winter, and then they're feeding that back to those trees in the spring to help them emerge again. We see the cycles. We can come into an understanding of the cycles of birth and moving through a journey to the death, and really allowing ourselves that grace and understanding of knowing the cycle, and that this embodiment is just one of our cycles of the soul, and to really allow ourselves to connect in and be present with all of those senses coming through the body. It's here to be honored. It's here to be sacred. We're not trying to escape it. We look at the trees and see, and the plants and the flowers, they're so present to just what is. They move with the winds, we can learn so much from that. And if you look back to many of the ancient mystics, you connect with that language. Yes, the ocean is within us. Yes, the trees are within us. And even literally, if you look at our lungs and how they're designed, they look like trees. And so this being present and in nature and in the observing, but also taking in those frequencies of presence allows us, this is the space of connection to the divine, is in the present, letting go of any worries, any anxieties. Nature is so healing as well. So you take in, you allow it to open you up to that state of being one, and sensing that divine nature and that magic that's within you, and allowing it to express out of you. And yeah, it's just a beautiful connection that nature can really support us with. So in the end, the nature mystic is one who allows nature to support them in coming into that place of oneness, that allows nature to open up and awaken that magical nature of oneness that we have
Mm.
within us.
Wow, that's beautiful. There is so much that was coming to me as you were sharing that. And I'm like trying to make a mental note and stay present with you at the same time because there was so much. But one of the things, well, there were a few things that I really want to talk about is the oneness with all things. But before we go there, I think it's really important that we delve into this a little bit more because you mentioned that when you go into nature, you go into nature with all of your senses. And I think that a lot of us, when we go in there, we feel this connection, but we're still going in not really aware of all the other senses that are inviting us to connect. And so primarily the eyes, right? And maybe,
Mhm.
we're listening and we're smelling, but we're not really aware. And to me, just as you were describing that, that's like, wow, that's magic in itself, is just like becoming aware of literally all of these gifts that each one of us has the ability to tap into. So, can we go down that path a little bit more?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Smell, right? The feeling sense of
Mhm.
things. Do you have a specific question or do you want me just to
Well,
speak
no,
to it?
no, I guess if you were to, no, I'm not, let me feel into this. Because, well, I guess I wanted to highlight that though, mostly for viewers though, is to really, when the next time they do go out into nature, and nature can be the backyard, it can be the front yard, it can be the park, it can be wherever. You can be even sitting in your vehicle and looking at something that brings you your awareness to the tree, to the whatever, to the flowers, to the grass, to whatever it is, the birds and the animals. But just that awareness, that connection to it, that in itself truly is the mystic. That is the invitation to go into that mystical energy of feeling that aliveness within you.
Yeah.
And
A
so you
potted
were,
plant in your home.
yeah, it's
Plant,
well, and I
right?
can
In your
relate
home.
to that too, because I do connect with the plant, talk to the plant all the time. In fact, I had a plant and I had cut it was overgrowing and I just can't get rid of anything that's growing. And so I put it in water. And then eventually I put it in a pot and I moved it away from the kitchen where I was always talking to it. It wasn't doing well. I had to take it out of the pot with the dirt and put it back in the water where it's by me. And I'm sending it energy and connecting with it, and it's doing well again.
Exactly. Sometimes they like a location. You see that when you
Yeah,
garden too,
yeah,
sometimes you plant something, I think it should go here, and it
yeah,
migrate through its seeds over somewhere else, and it does great over there, and it didn't do
yeah,
well in the one
yeah.
location, right?
But I also believe it was deeper than that because I think it was the connection. Because when it
Yeah.
was in the other space, I wasn't connecting with it the same way.
Mhm. Yeah.
And there was this like weird, but I remember when I was younger too, literally watching a plant as I was talking to it growing, like starting to,
Yeah.
and that was like, wow. So there is something so beautiful about nature
Yeah.
to open us up to oneness with all things.
Yeah. There's a deep connection there, and they're so healing, right? Nature provides our resources for our shelter, for our food. We're taking it in, but often we just take it in unconsciously,
Hmm.
right? Even when
Hmm.
we take a food, we take a plant bean or whatever it is, we forget to send gratitude to it and also to set our intentions with it. How do we want it to support us? Please help me in strengthening my body. Please help me in digesting on all levels what needs to be digested. Please help me in taking in what's healthy for me and eliminating what's not. So we can be calling and having that nature, because it is coming into us and being integrated into our being. And so we
Hmm.
can set intentions with it that way as well.
Another beautiful message from you, Margo. Like you're saying so many powerful things because even that just made me think about how powerful we really can be with intention and with our consciousness going there and allowing us to. But most of the time, we're just sort of living in the moment and just sort of barely even paying attention to what's happening.
Yeah. So
Like
often I
what
see
you,
people that are out in nature, but they've got their headphones on, right? They're listening to something. There are times when I want to double task like that. There's something I need to get listened to, and I want to get a walk in or so
Mhm.
on. How beautiful nature, but it's so important to have that time that is just, not connected to something I have to listen to, or, I want my, as I said, all my senses present to whatever
Mhm.
is around me. I had a beautiful experience once in a forest where it was a new one for me. I hadn't been to, it was on the coast, and there was a lot of blowdown, a lot of trees where a storm had come through. So a lot of decay happening in
Mhm.
there. And I had just this split second thought, wow, this isn't the most beautiful forest I've been in. And I caught myself and I went, wait a minute, what are you talking about? It's just a different forest. Let's see what's here. Let's
Yeah.
just really tune in. And so I just stopped and was present. I just closed my eyes. What are the nature beings here? What are they really bringing through? And I felt this amazing presence of a divine being who was actually there to help with that releasing process, with
Mm.
that process of letting those plant kingdom beings slowly in their own time decay to become the fertilizer for the new. It still brings tears to my eyes talking about it now. It was so beautiful, this process that we often carry fear about, the dying process, the death
Yes.
process. And it just really opened me up to this energy, this divine grace is here for all of us as we go through that process, when our body, if we allow it, if we surrender to it, and not surrender in a giving up way, but just surrendering to the divine nature of the cycles that we're in. And so it just, of course, completely shifted how that mind, that original comparer mind, comes
Mhm.
in, right? And this to that, instead of the presence, there is no comparison. It's just the state in that place and time of that oneness and being open to whatever's there and the messages. And it really set up for me as I go and explore different nature places and forests to take that time to connect in, and what's the presences that are here, what are the beautiful divine beings that are working with nature here, and then yeah, they're working with me too as part of nature, and
Yeah.
allowing myself to really just expand and breathe with that. Yeah.
Wow. It's funny because I was actually going to ask you, can you describe a moment when you knew you were connected to the divine? But you just
Let's
answered yes.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
but the
Exactly.
truth is once we recognize that the divine is always with us, there are so many more moments, more and more, and just the consciousness, our consciousness evolves with that presence. But that's another important word, so let's go there for a moment too, because you're talking about nature, and you were talking about people. Sometimes the intention is to get connected with nature, but we're still putting the music on and still disengaging and not really connecting. And so in order to really begin that journey, that union with the one that is always within us, but we need to become aware of it, is becoming aware of presence, being in the moment, being in the awareness. And so somatically, can you explain to me and to the viewers, like like for me, I place my hand, like I don't even need to put my hand on my heart. I just need to breathe and be aware. Like I look out in my yard lots of times, or I'm out in the yard, and instantly I'm transported back into this moment now.
Mhm.
And I can feel the energy, like I can feel myself expanding, and I can feel like my chakras igniting and stuff like that. And so how do you know? Because each one of us, we talked about being different. How do
Mhm.
you know somatically? Just share a little bit about that, about what happens, what do you notice, and what is it about this connection that has you going for more and more? I want more of that. I love that.
Yeah, and just exactly, just being in it. It's actually that frequency of those precious moments when you feel that fullness of the connection. Exactly what you said. I keep bringing that back in. It's a practice I do before I go to bed or as I'm falling asleep, is be in
Mhm.
that frequency, because being in that frequency is going to help call in
Right,
more of that, right? We're entraining our body to that frequency, and it's like it gets magnetized to the places that have that type of frequency. And
right.
so everyone is individual. And so when you're out in nature and it's supporting you in that connection, never make yourself wrong about the way it comes through to you. And in the beginning, you might not think anything's happening
Exactly.
in practice. So you do have to get out and allow yourself to practice. Some people really are very, very visual. It's amazing the way that they can take in the full spectrum, say, of the green, the color green, right? And
Mhm.
really notice that. And what does green evoke for them, and what does brown evoke for them, and all the different colors. And other people will be very finely attuned to the smells that are in
Mhm.
nature, right? The earthiness and how much it changes from spring to fall, like through the seasons, the differences that are within that. So that's the first thing, is just allow yourself. And you might at the beginning have to kind of remind yourself, okay, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I just know being in this place? What do I feel? So allow yourself. Some people are very touch oriented. They get a lot of information through touch. And so
Right.
touching the trees, right? Touching the grass, that's going to support that kind of flow of divine information back and forth. And even again, if you might feel in the moment nothing is coming through, trust that
Mhm.
it is. Trust that it is,
Mhm.
right? And
Right.
it is a process. It
It,
does emerge over time. And for
yes.
you to start trusting how it comes through to you, and not, the mind always likes to question things.
Right.
Did that really
Definitely
happen?
does.
Did it really? Yeah. Did I really sense that? Right? The doubter comes in, or whatever it might be. But it is just mm, the evoking of that sense of peace, and from that, the oneness, and just being present. And if you're someone who has been in that place of distraction, you're used to
Mhm.
carrying the phone around or listening to things, there is physiologically in the body, it goes for these dopamine hits, right? And
Right.
that's what you get
Mhm.
on social media, right? And so on. But you can get that from nature.
Mhm.
It's just going to be a little bit of a transition time in there. And you have to be patient with yourself and be in the allow.
Exactly. Exactly. So now I want to take us outside nature and into the human design a little bit, because those are two like totally opposite ways of sort of connecting, but human design offers us a real unique insight of who we really are, and the fact that we are unique, and the fact that we are meant to not be the same, and that energy, that divine energy, will express itself through us in these ways. So can you share a little bit about that then?
Sure. So there's probably a lot of people who haven't heard of human design. So this is a
Mhm.
system that was brought through, was channeled 8 days, 8 nights. I can't say it was fun per se for the man Ra Uruhu that brought it through, because he was basically writing that whole time.
Mhm.
But it's a synthesis. It's a thin synthesis of different existing mystical systems out there: the chakra system, the Jewish Kabbalah, the astrology, brings in quantum physics, the Chinese I Ching. It's not exactly any of those, but it's a synthesis that shows your genetic, energetic wiring. What are your genetic traits and gifts that are you? And also what's not you. So there's places in someone's chart or body graph, it's called, where I can see what their wiring is and what their design is, but also where they're open to take in other people's energy. And the mind can interpret that energy coming in as the not self mind as something I need to be, which is not true.
Mm-hmm.
And that can get us into trouble, right? Take us totally off track. I need to be that. Oh, I'm missing that. I
Mm-hmm.
need to be that, right? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're meant to take the wisdom from that.
Right.
And
Fascinating.
it's also really a system that helps us to understand this consciousness in form, and
Mm-hmm.
that the form, the body, has its consciousness as well, its traits that it brings through, and they're meant to be in this beautiful marriage together, the consciousness and the form, but we're also often fighting. And
Right.
so as you delve into your design, it really helps bring that together and allow you to be at greater ease in yourself and not so easily be taken off of track. It's really a fast way to identify the shadow aspects of ourselves. And once you learn your design, and you almost always have a resonance right away. I don't think I've ever had anyone that when I'm telling them, the traits they have, they're like, oh yeah, I know that about myself. And where they get caught up,
Yeah.
taken off track. Oh yeah, but it just starts that process of, I can let that go. Oh my gosh, I don't have to be that. No, someone else is meant to be that. You're meant to be your individual, unique self in this particular embodiment. And then when we put all the parts together, all the people together, that creates that totality. It's the way of, I think of it as a way of divine consciousness getting as much experience as possible.
Which,
Put us all into our unique embodiment.
yes. And that is really truly what's happening.
Yeah.
And that is really the lesson for all of us in this, whether or not we embody these energies and stuff like that of the mystic. It doesn't matter. The truth is, though, is that each one of us is here to be unique and to not be like anybody else. And
Exactly.
it's funny. I'm just going to share something because it's coming to me, and I hope it resonates with some people. Is when I first started down this path, there was a lot happening in my life, a lot of crumbling, a lot of what I would call heartache and pain, and even I would have called it suffering at the time. But as I was starting down the spiritual journey and I wasn't really connected, and I still thought the divine was outside of me. In fact, I called it God and didn't, it's like I had a hard time. But the more that I started opening myself up to the possibility, okay, like what if this is possible? But I want to share something is I started down the path of serving, always wanting to serve. Like I want to serve. I want to be there. I want to be present. I want to be helping. But Crystal did a reading. So Crystal is, she's the founder of the Academy for the Soul. And when I first started out, I took so many things that I thought I needed to take in order to get me to the serving point. And when she was doing her assessment and her reading, her higher self reading of me, she said, your higher self wants you to know that, like, if you're going to keep yourself so busy on these other things, thinking that this is what you need to do, you're not going to be open and available to the things that are really trying to come through, that are really trying to guide you and direct you. So meaning the divine. So my design, human design of the divine wants to come through in a certain way. And I needed to get out of my head. And I still am working on it.
Yeah.
So that's what's so beautiful about what you do, though, too, is open this door for people to start to see themselves in a different way, in the way that they really have been designed, their soul blueprint, in a sense, of who they're really being invited to be.
Exactly.
And aware of the shadow without the condemning.
Exactly. And each of those traits has their polarities as well. And they will
Yep.
play out. And sometimes the things that the mind would judge as being a negative is actually necessary at that time in that situation. They're just polarities.
Exactly. And we talk about it like it's so casual, like they're just polarities,
Yeah,
there's
they're
no right
just, I
or good or bad. And it's like other people are like, what the heck are you talking about?
know. Yeah,
But something happens. And that's why I think this journey, when we tap into it, is magical, because it's like this rewiring of the conscious of our mind. And so all of a sudden, the mind and the heart truly are one, in flow and communicating with each other. And that's what's so beautiful, is this softening and this compassion and this empathy for our journey, not just for others, but for ourselves. And I think there's something about that, where when we can hold compassion for ourselves, it's so much easier to hold compassion for other people.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
We often think we're better at it with others
yes.
than we are with ourselves. But the truth is, in what you're saying, until you can be truly compassionate with yourself, it brings a whole new level, because that what you thought was compassion, and certainly had a frequency in there of it.
Mhm.
When you're not compassionate to yourself,
Mhm.
there's still a piece of that shadow aspect that maybe might be trying to please or do other
Mhm.
things. But as you get into greater compassion with yourself, the purity, let's call it that, maybe that's a word that can come through, the
I love
purity of
that word.
that
Yes.
frequency of compassion to others, right? It gets
Yes.
cleaner and cleaner.
Yes. I love that. And so, I want to come back to your human design, because you have such a gift there too for people. And I want to share about that. But I want to take us down the frequency path for a minute too, because we were talking about it. And a lot of people are going to be like, that's another buzzword that's going around, frequency, right? Your vibration, your frequency, and stuff like that. And so let's go into this a little bit more, because you were describing, the senses and stuff like that. But frequency is really I think it's a feeling. And so if we are in the frequency of love and bringing in that loving energy, instantly we just dialed the light up. We just lit up.
Yeah.
But when we go into something where we're judging, or something where we think something's wrong, we're dimming our light. So we either feel connected and expanded, or we feel contracted.
Mhm.
And that's so important. Don't you think that this word that everybody is hearing, that like really becoming aware of it and empowering ourselves with it, and understanding that we get to choose. So, I don't know. I just wanted to come back to it too, because you said something, and again, you're sharing so many like ahas for me. It's like, oh my goodness, this is important that we don't skip this, because it's vital for our experience with oneness, with first
This
our
is,
experience with
yeah,
ourselves.
it really brings in that piece of the discernment, because
Mhm.
often we're reacting to the frequency someone else is bringing to us unconsciously, right? We've all got our own shadow aspects. This is the process, the peeling away the
Yes.
layers of the onion and so on. And so as we increase our awareness, as those frequencies are coming at us, we can start to really sense in whatever way it is for us again, is that putting us into constriction?
Mhm.
Or is that putting us into expansion?
Mhm.
Or is there something in us that's wanting to close off
Mhm.
for that and go into
Mhm.
protect mode?
Mhm.
Or is it opening top? Now, wouldn't you want to be more around things that are going to open you up? It's not going to be, 100% of your day, because being in the variety helps to build the discernment.
Mhm.
You don't necessarily want to run away from it, but you don't want your shadow aspects being the controllers of how you're going to then react to what's
Right.
coming.
Right.
So that's the mastery piece of it that you learn
Yeah.
again over time, right? It's not like,
It,
boom, something's going to happen. All of a sudden,
oh,
I've got mastery.
that's right.
right? We also have
Yeah,
things
no.
that and trigger us. And that's where, again, we come back into compassion and go, okay.
Yeah,
And that's the delving
right.
in. That's the work to do. Why did that trigger me?
Right.
What happened there?
Right.
Do that processing work, right? As we learn in the
Yeah.
academy, right? To do that
Yes.
processing and shift that so that we don't have to continue to be reactive to
Right.
whatever that is. And sometimes what we find out is, oh, you know what? That place or that person, it's just not a resonance for me.
Right. Right.
And we do have to, so what the plants teach us again too, nature, like let it go, release, drop the leaves, right? Sometimes certain
Right.
people we have to release
Yeah.
out of our lives to create space for that
Right.
next thing to come in.
Love what you just shared. There's so many words that you just that are I'm picking up on. It's like discernment. It's on like awareness, like and compassion. And so like they all belong. Those three words are vital to our spiritual evolution, to understanding that we are the soul that came here for this human experience. And so
Yeah.
without that awareness, we're never going to be even knowing what, because even these things that are causing that constriction, they're actually really good things, because then it's bringing our awareness to where we are just sort of going through life and just sort of like pushing it down and not really paying attention. And that constriction is actually inviting us to say, okay, where am I not authentically aligned right now? Where am I off?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what is going on with this? And we have so many centuries of suppression of emotions, of suppression of how our body's reacting to things. And this is also part of building that awareness back up, especially for the feminine, right? The amount of
Hmm.
suppression that was placed on the feminine. And so now it's kind of reawakening. I mean, wouldn't it be awesome if someone said something to you and you were just able to say, wow, like you're saying that, man, I am just going into like my chest is getting tight and
Yes.
whatever, and just spoke it out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I just got to take a moment here and see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and it's, we take so many things personally that aren't
Right.
necessarily personal.
Well, I remember Carolyn May saying, never take anything personal. And I used to like, what the heck are you talking about? You know, it's like, I just took that personal. Like you just said that, but now I get it. I really do. Um,
Exactly. And the human design part, like the collective circuitry,
yeah.
and people have something in the collective. It is about impersonal sharing, but we
Yes.
typically take it in as personal,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
it's really not
Exactly.
that.
Ex-
So, yeah.
I can tell that I could sit here and talk to you for a very, very, very long time. And I'm gonna, if you're willing, I would love
Yeah.
to have you back on, and so we can go down this path, this rabbit hole a little more deeply for sure. But I'm also aware of the time with viewers and that. But I do want to give you a chance to share a little bit more about like what is it that you want? Like if you had a message, like the legacy, what is it that Margo is here to bring, to offer to this world? Because I'm hearing so much from you. And what would the message be? What's your message?
It's really me wanting to support people in awakening to the magic of their own nature. You are magical. You're magical. You're not here to be anyone like anyone else. And when you open up to that and let your brilliance, let your magic just flow from you, wow, you have no idea. You have no idea of the impact that you are making. And the mind wants to know its impact it's making, right? And that's also part of the letting go. Yes, you're going to have feedback from some people about that impact, but a lot of it is happening through these energetic networks. I talked about the wood wide web, right? It's like
Right.
through the golden grid of grace, through these different divine networks, let's
Hmm.
call them, that's shifting. It's like that butterfly effect that we talk about.
Yeah.
One little thing here and it ripples out. So
Ex-
never think that you're not having an impact. as you're
Right.
doing this work. You are magical. You are here to be your unique self. No
Yeah.
compare.
Oh,
No compare. Yeah.
I feel your energy. It is so beautiful and so radiant and so bubbly and like I want to go and explore the forest with you and nature with you. And then talk more about my design, which I did want to bring viewers back to that too, because you're amazing at what you do. You did a little mini reading for me in the Academy for the Soul, and it was so accurate, including the part where I remember you saying you're here to, share wisdom with other people. It won't be my own. It will be that I'm learning from others and then going and sharing, but only when I'm invited. And so, I took that like that's sort of planted it that sometimes I forget. I'm working on that,
Yeah. No
which is
forcing.
what the
No forcing.
shadow is. But then there again, that's the compassionate side too coming up. It's like, okay, this is where I forget and I splat easily because the intention is still pure. It's still that I want to be of service and that, but remembering. So I invite people to contact you. So I want people to know that I'm going to put your bio and your information and stuff like where they can get a hold of you if they do want to work with you with their human design reading, whatever it is that you do. And it's really that in itself is so it's empowering because it gives us a view, each person a view of their inner workings and their inner design, their soul blueprint, really, of who they have been created to be, who they literally chose to be,
Yeah.
and take the pressure off of who I need to do this, I need to do that. And instead, it's more about being and embodying it.
Exactly.
Before we leave, though, I remember because you were talking about, the mind and then talking about the body. And it's so important that we begin to be aware of our thoughts are always outside. Consciousness is outside of us. It's not like we think we are the consciousness in the mind, and the mind is really literally outside. But so for people to start to really embody that moment, feel that moment, witness the out, and that's why you light up with nature is because it's like, oh, look at that tree, look like, oh, bring that in. And you were telling me about like how you become one with that. Literally, you are that. It's so beautiful if we would just allow ourselves to be the magic, like you were saying, and to experience ourselves as that magic and that connection with oneness,
Mhm.
all things that we are.
Yeah. I
We're
mean, that
not,
old mystical phrase, right? As above, so below, as within,
yeah,
so without. Everything out there is
yeah,
in here. Everything in here is out there.
yeah. So really learn to experience this. And you know what? You were right. Like it's taken me years to start to feel this way. Like it's like planting the seed. Like, what if? What if? What if this is possible? You don't need to know, but it's just planting. It's like, okay, I'm open. I'm curious. That's why we're all invited to be the child. And you just like, you are so the child. It's just like,
A
oh, I
nature
can
child.
feel that.
Yeah. It's an
I feel
archetype.
it in you. I feel it in you. And it's beautiful. It is
Thank you.
so beautiful.
Thank you.
And you and I forgot to discuss if there was anything you wanted to, a short little meditation or anything, but I don't want to put you on the spot, but I also didn't want to overlook it if in case you were thinking, well, yeah, I wanted to lead somebody through viewers through this. So it's either way, it's okay. And it's meant to be, but I want to open that invitation up to you should you decide to guide us through something.
Yeah. Why don't we do a short little nature
Sure.
meditation?
I would love that.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I
Okay.
invite you
Okay.
to
Thank
participate.
you.
So
Okay.
nice full deep breaths, everyone. And you can do this eyes open, eyes closed. A lot of people think they have to meditate eyes closed. You can meditate walking out in nature. Meditation just means you are being present. You're being present. So just breathing, eyes open or eyes closed, whatever feels good to you. And already through the breath, remember that the trees, the plant kingdom beings, they're producing the oxygen that we take in, and we're producing the carbon dioxide that they take in. So already in your breath, allow the breath, breathing out, know that, wow, you are giving such a gift to the plant kingdom beings. And as you breathe in, you're receiving such a gift from the plant kingdom beings. And come into the sacredness of that moment. And remember that if you were to look at your lungs, how they're configured, how the pathways, the air passageways are configured, they look like trees. And so there's this really beautiful symbiotic relationship already. So just let yourself be in that gratitude to the plant kingdom beings, and let yourself receive the gratitude of the plant kingdom beings. So often we dismiss appreciation and compliments, and that's a part of ourselves, a shadow part that says we're not worthy of that, but we are. And so just let yourself breathe. You can imagine being in a garden or a forest with all your favorite plant kingdom beings there. Just sensing your feet on the earth. With each step that you take, your feet are connecting in with that Mother Earth, Mother Gaia presence. You might even want to just stop and imagine yourself just kind of see your feet, kind of knees bouncing a bit, sinking down, really connecting with that Mother Earth essence, that creative essence. And as your feet plant, feeling from the base of your spine, from the bottoms of your feet, these beautiful roots going down into Mother Earth, Mother Gaia. Right down into that beautiful ball of light in the center, her heart. And just imagine as your roots are connecting in with Mother Gaia, her heart just receiving, opening and receiving, blessing your roots. And just imagine that she's sending her beautiful healing light up through your roots, up through your feet, up through your spine. Her essence coming right up into your heart. Her resilience, her ability to just bounce back, to heal. It's amazing. We saw during the COVID times, for example, how when people weren't going out as much, when there wasn't as much, say, boats out in the oceans, certain places, there was just all this rejuvenation that happened. And so she has just this ability to heal so quickly that we can take in. And you can allow from your crown too to create a beautiful, think of it as these roots, these branches going upward, like you're the tree. Allowing this beautiful branching up into Father's Son's heart. Some branches might be going out into the stars, connecting in with this celestial energy, this beautiful nourishing light, allowing the rays of that light to flow down through your branches. Like the trees, their leaves, how they convert that light into sweetness that we could use for our growth, letting that flow down into your heart. Blending with those earth energies. Remember, the earth, the trees pull up all the beautiful minerals. The crystal kingdom energies can flow up through there as well. And the heart is the beautiful meeting place, the source. of your light, your essence. So as these energies meet in your heart, you can just allow them to flow out through your body, strengthening what needs to be strengthened, softening what needs to be softened, cleansing out through your aura, lighting up your emotional body, supporting the mental body in releasing anything that needs to be released. Any old habits, patterns, any worries of the future, anxiety about the past, just letting that go, be present here. Letting that energy flow right out to the boundaries of your aura, your biofield. And just really allowing yourself in this garden, this forest that you're in, that you're imagining yourself in. You are now one of the beautiful plant kingdom beings. Simply receiving the light. The processing of that is just automatic. It's built into your system. You are wired to be able to receive the light, to work with it, to nurture it, to allow it to move down into your heart. And in fact, move right down into your roots to support their growth. And then allowing again this beautiful crystalline energy to come up through your roots, up into your heart, out through your branches. So there's this beautiful cycle of giving, of receiving within you. And imagining now your branches spreading out and connecting some of them in with the other plant kingdom being branches. Your roots spreading out and connecting in through the Earth's crystalline grid to other plant kingdom beings. Feeling all the support that's there for you. They're so happy to have you here, to be connected in with them. You just have this deep sense of knowing within yourself that this connection is always here. It's simply a matter of bringing your presence to it. And as you allow yourself to expand out more and more connections, just supports your expansiveness, your opening up, your shining of your brilliant light. This beautiful interconnectedness to the allness. And yet within this forest or this garden, you are still unique and yet interconnected. How beautiful. Thanking Mother Earth, thanking Father Sun, the beautiful star beings, the crystal kingdom beings, all the beautiful light that was brought in. Thanking the divine for supporting you with this connection, with this expansiveness, with radiating your light in a bigger way. Just placing your hands over your heart for a moment. Sensing into that beautiful nature kingdom that exists within you. Expressing gratitude to every cell, space, fiber of your being. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Full deep breath, fully coming back to now. Yeah, just being present. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back and listen to that one again.
You just feel the cycling. Beautiful giving and receiving, just cycling through. Yeah.
Yeah, so beautiful. And Margo, thank you so much for this wonderful, sacred, mystical, magical conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for shining your light and letting
Mm.
us express through you. Yeah. And your platform.
It
Thank
feels
you.
so good. Feels so good. I send you all love, peace, and blessings. Namaste, beautiful ones.